Thank you, Brianna, and welcome everybody to AnCan's edition of So Lords Heal. We are so glad to be back. This show is so special for me because I was able to select our guest this month, and within minutes, I picked who you will see tonight. This actually follows a theme in my life at AnCan, and it does actually involve tonight's guest as well. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about that later. Hannah Garrison, our art director, and I call her the poster child for our art classes. And to me, she truly embodies what and why we do what we do at AnCan. I promise you, you will be entertained. It is my absolute privilege to welcome our guest, and even more importantly, my friend, Karen Broder. Welcome, Karen.
You.
Hi.
I'm excited.
First of all, an incredible background. Yes, love it. So let's get into a little bit about your background real quick. So I heard on a report card of yours that a little bit of your artistic ability started early, perhaps in third grade. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I don't think it was really my artistic ability, because in third grade and most of my youth, I was very shy. Don't call on me, don't make me get up there. So Mrs. Bernberg must have noticed that I came to life when I was singing, and she would say, Karen, would you like to get up and lead the class in song? And there's no way I would have. So I got up there and I just would stand up there. And then later on in the report card, like in the your final report card, she said likes to lead the. She noticed I like to sing, and then she said likes to lead the class in song. And it took me to my 50s until I was able to lead the class in song. But my 10-year-old is always thrilled.
I think that's so important for our audience to hear, because we have to start somewhere, and confidence sometimes can take a little bit to build as well. And I just think that that's incredible. And I hear a lot of people from my generation too believe that your life stops at 30. I hear that all the time. And I love what you just said so much. I just think that that's great. Um, I love, and part of our conversations that we've had in preparation for this show, part of what I talked about is that it's easier to say what you can't do versus what you can. And that has been evident throughout your life. And even though you've had kind of several careers and you've done a variety of things, you've also had, your talents and your art touch in that as well. So part of one of those things actually does have to do what ties back with that singing. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I do believe that we should just bring our art everywhere. It's great there's shows on the Marsh by people who are committed to their art, but everyone can bring a little bit of art. So yeah, I just like singing, and I kind of bring it wherever I can. So I had different careers, but I was working as a nurse in the community where I live now in Oakland. And I used to go out to different homes where seniors were before I became one. And this one group used to complain. I ran a preventive health program for seniors in Oakland. And this only one group, it was free. It was a grant. And they would complain, why does she take so long? Why does she spend more time than my doctor? What is she doing? And so they used to have an open mic at their event, which is another example of just casual entertaining the community, entertaining your friends. So I asked to be put on the program because they pissed me off. And everything I do doesn't happen because it pisses me off. But tonight, pretty much, it's going to be that theme of the things that piss me off.
Yeah.
So I got up there and I sang for them. When I get a brand new patient, well, the first thing I need to do is ask their name and their medications, 'cause it's my job to be the nurse. It's not that I want to know your business or pry into your private affairs. It's just that them who pay my wages want me to tell them who and what and where. I'm simply a public health nurse, and your doctor I don't try to be. But if you don't understand what they tell you, I'd enjoy helping you sift through the confusion too. And then
Wow.
maybe, and it
How
kind
many
of
people took you up on your offer?
well, it was really interesting. Then they'd come around. They felt very proud to know me. Like I know everybody who's attending tonight is going to feel so proud to know me. They were just like, oh, it changed the tune.
I'm sure that also helped build a rapport. I know none of my nurses, when I was at the cancer center, they never sang that to me. I think I would probably have felt a lot more comfortable and given my medication list stuff a little bit easier myself personally. How long did it take you to write that? What did it come from a place of having to repeat yourself often and you wanted to get more creative with it? Or was it maybe that you wanted to build a relationship or a better bridge?
I didn't think about that. I was just mad. But but I have but I have learned that yeah, there's I also learned not to sing at people. I'm going to sing at you all tonight because it's a performance. But it can overwhelm people to be sung at. So I have to be a little careful how I do that. I, it was a long time ago. It would have been in like maybe 1990. How long ago was that?
Wow.
Yeah, and so I would bring it. I would bring it into different places. Or yeah, I was working at a senior. I was very shy, so I only really wanted to do one-on-one things. And then I decided that I think I'd like to be an adult school teacher. I'd like to branch out and be more comfortable. So I asked the grant to have me teach some health education classes so I could do something like this today and not be. And I remember that I was at a group and one woman was just so upset. She was so upset and she wasn't going to let me start. And I said, hey, sometimes I ruminate and I get upset and I think and I think and I think. And here's what I do to calm down. So it has been to create rapport and grab their attention. And I just said, when I get upset, my friend said, go in the living room and start singing that song. Relax your mind, relax your mind. You're going to live for a very long time. And that is why you've got to relax your mind.
So touching a little bit back on a little bit of that work in healthcare and also the anger thing, you also have another work that you do explaining some of the more frustrating sides of healthcare that we don't like.
That's true. And everybody's had that. That's why I picked the Bob Marley song, Get Up, Stand Up for Your Rights, because AnCan is about advocacy, self-advocacy, and getting support. So be your own best advocate. I am, even though not everybody in the healthcare fields appreciates that. But I have to do that. So yeah, in the beginning of 2020, before COVID lockdown, did you ever get those statements that go, this is not a bill? If you
Oh my
have
God, all
health
the time.
insurance. And most people just throw them out. But because I worked in healthcare, out of morbid curiosity in 2019, I didn't open them. And then one day I decided I'd open them, like beginning of January. And I thought, oh my God, this is so crazy. I didn't think to make it a performance piece. I was just like, I cannot believe this. And I thought, this is ludicrous. This is absolutely ludicrous. And so I started just making notes verbatim from the things I was reading. And I'm not kidding. Maybe only one word is misquoted here, and you'll know what word that is. So and then in February, they sent this packet, a new thick packet. They used to send 2 packets. This new thick packet of envelopes contained an introductory letter. I have to read it. You'll see why. explaining what to expect from the packets inside of the packet. There were references all about CMS, the Center for Medicare Stupidity. OOP, out of pocket. EOB, explanation of benefits. NDP, Part C, OOP. Part D, OOP, but no details about EOC, evidence of coverage. However, if you wanted to find out more about EOC somewhere on page 7 or 8 in the explanation of definitions and explanations, there's a reference for you to refer to your EOC chapter 7 and 9, respectively, and that should clear up any misconceptions or confusion that you might have. Then, all this is verbatim. I did not create this. And there was an update on March 3rd, because I'm sure even the scholarly of you would not know what an NDP is. The Notice of Denial of Payment, also known as the Notice of Denial of Medicare Coverage. However, in March 2023, they now called it, this one will really make sense, the Integrated Denial Notice. It's been updated to reflect the latest non-discriminatory language required on CMS forms and notices. The IDN. So that would be so confounding. And then they would say, should you have any questions? To be clear, this document only includes information relating to costs covered in Part D of your Medicare. Should you have any questions about Part C, like what is Part C? Of your EOB, member services and customer services representatives are available 7 days a week to assist you. When you call, please note that our menu options have changed and you may experience longer than normal wait times, but rest assured that your call is important to us. It's just not a priority.
That was so true. And Karen, a question that I have, and I ponder this often, how can you always experience a higher than average call volume? Because there has to be an average, right?
That's
but
true.
You're always having it's always a higher than an average call. I don't get it. But that's the kind of stuff you're talking about.
And our menu options have just changed, as if I remembered the OOP, EOC, NDP, OIP, SOB menu that was there before.
I know, as if you would remember all of that and you would be listening carefully to all of the options to begin with.
And remember,
yes, the healthcare system is it's very frustrating.
It's broken.
Very much so. So there's been something that I've been looking forward to all week, and I just can't wait. I almost don't even know how to go into it because I'm just bubbling with excitement. And it is probably our biggest performance. Would you like to say a few words before we spotlight you?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed, and I was going to make it part of the piece, but I think I'll just tell you, because I was diagnosed in 2019 with an autoimmune disease, and it's called primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And I got diagnosed in San Francisco after many fishing expeditions and after 20 years of noticing subtle progressive decline in function. First, my right hand became numb. It's still weak. And I experienced balance issues, which I still have, vision, disturbance, cognitive function. What does that mean? Delayed message transmission in my brain. I couldn't remember things. And it affects what's called loss of executive function, taking care of business. And that was getting a problem. And they go, well, it's your age. Well, you have anxiety. Well, it's nothing. And that's pretty common with multiple sclerosis. And I know there's people here who have the disease. So I decided last minute to add a little bit about that. And I I don't know how I drove home from San Francisco. I live in Oakland, and I wrote down at the doctor's office that I have permanent progressive multiple sclerosis. Permanent progressive. I think it's a more apt name because once you get diagnosed, you have it. But when it's primary, it never gets better. And they always talk about the other kind because only 10 to 15% of people with multiple sclerosis have permanent progressive, and they're usually older. And so who cares about us? Can't make a lot of money on us for years with meds. So we're pretty the neglected stepchild. But I'm glad I didn't know about it until later. So, yeah, this is a piece I really literally at noon today came up with the idea that I'm revamping it. So I'm really flying by the seat of my pants. It's a piece I wrote in 2021. Well, you'll see why I wrote it. And I sing, and I was playing music, but I hardly ever do that anymore. I do sing. And I go to a lot of music camps. So I have a lot of songs infused into this piece. But since I cannot lead the class in song tonight, I'm going to leave out most of the songs except for the last one. And yeah.
Take it away.
I still have joy. I still have joy. After all the things I've been through, I still have joy. I still have joy. I still have joy. After all the things I've been through, I still have joy. For most of you, the pandemic created shock waves of isolation. For me, it was a comfort. It was, because I no longer dreaded going out at night, navigating first with a cane and progressing to a walker. Shelter at home, for me, on Zoom was a great social remedy. And that song, I Still Have Joy, popped into my head because in I think the end of 2021, there was going to be a gathering at a synagogue that I joined during the pandemic time. So there was going to be a gathering outside on a sunny day in a garden, and it was going to be a gratitude circle, sharing art. And I thought, gratitude circle. I'm not really feeling that because I want to tell a different story. But how do I get in there? So I opened up singing this song, and to my surprise, everybody sang along. I don't think they knew it, but they just sang along. I still have joy. I still have joy. After all the things I've been through, I still have joy. I still have joy. I still have joy. After all the things I've been through. And that was the song I sang to get me past the gratitude gate, so I could tell the story that I really wanted to tell. But first, I digress. Earlier in the year, a cloud of doom descended on me. Everything looked bleak, and I'm sure we've all been there any time in your life. But here I am with this progressive disease, losing function, and I had a video call with my doctor because it was still COVID pandemic time, and she looked so sad. She looked so sad. I felt sorry for her. So I wanted to give her some good news, something. And I wanted to give her some good news, and that chat is distracting me. So I wanted to give her some good news, and I stayed up all night long, and I was looking on websites in Europe, and at 5:30, I found out on Tuesday there was going to be a support group for people with MS at AnCan, whatever that means. I don't know. And at 5:30 in the morning, I was still awake going, how am I going to do this? But I went anyway. And while I was there, my first meeting, the executive director, I was kind of, what's this going to be like anyway? And he gets on and he explains that AnCan is a peer-led support group, and people, he said, Karen, you're going to see, it's going to change your life. I don't know. You'll see, it's going to change your life. Because at that point, I really barely ever talked to anybody with MS. I didn't know how to talk about my disease. And while I was in that first meeting, somebody said, my mother doesn't like it when I use the F word. Now, I don't even remember doing this. So I was very puzzled why or how anybody even knew I sang. And I didn't sing very loudly, but she said the F word with my mother. And I thought, that reminds me of a song I know. We sit down to have a chat. It's F word this and F word that. I can't control how you young people talk to one another, but I don't want to hear you use that F word with your mother. And then the meeting went on. And towards the end of the meeting, the executive director comes on and he goes, I just want to tell everybody that we're starting this program with a theater in San Francisco. Karen, you might know who it is. And we're going to be looking for people to talk about how they use art to cope with their catastrophic diseases, or maybe not so catastrophic. It's Karen, I'll bet you have something. Like, no, I'm not here for that. No, oh, come on, you could probably just sing. I don't even know I can sing. I'm not going to just sing. I'm not going to do it. So a few times he kind of nudged me, and as you can tell, I'm a bit of a ham. And the muse paid a visit. And I thought, well, I've got that nurse song. I have some other nurse songs. I got the ludicrosity of bureaucracy. Why don't I put something together? So I put it out to him. And in the meantime, temporarily, somebody was designated as the organizer for this. It was just temporary. But I didn't know the guy, and he didn't know me. And he writes to me. He gets the email exchange, couldn't make sense of it. It was never meant for him. And he said, well, it seems like he puts on some like corporate project manager hat. I don't know. I was shocked. And he starts mansplaining, giving me tips about what might help me with my creative process. I wasn't asking for help. I don't understand what you're proposing. Why don't you write it out more succinctly and send me a video demonstration? And if we accept it, you'll have to record the piece because you might have a problem delivering it live on Zoom. I wasn't worried. Then he goes on. I don't understand. How could Medicare be relevant to our audience? I don't know. People with catastrophic diseases, people who are frustrated with bureaucracies, people who pay taxes. Did I get everybody here? And then he goes on. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could do that in a humorous way. What do you say to that? I didn't think I was signing up for the serious people's convention. Of course, they wouldn't find it humorous, but I'd rather be judged by a jury of my peers, and you're all here with me. How could she make it funny? Well, now I'm really freaking angry. I'm furious. I get invited into a creative project only to be treated as if I was looking for a book deal or a movie contract. And I'm furious. And when all else fails, there is always righteous indignation. And so I'm in my kitchen with one of my walkers. I have a stable of walkers. They all have different names, creative names. I have this walker in my kitchen. I must have been hungry. Couldn't even think about eating. And so I'm in my kitchen and I'm rolling around with my walker. I have a basket down and a tray so I can roll around in the kitchen, not fall down, and I could put things on the tray. It's kind of a brilliant invention of mine. And I'm rolling around and I'm just fuming. I am fuming. Smoke rings. They're coming out of my ears. Toxins are coming out of the top of my head. My nostrils are flaring. And I just couldn't stop thinking about the nerve of this guy. Imagine the nerve of this guy. Who does he think he is? And I can hear a song in my head, a refrain. I don't quite know what the song is. And I start singing it. I'm rolling around in my kitchen and I'm singing that song. And I'm feeling a little better because when I am angry, righteous indignation can only take you so far. It can only take you so far. And then I either handwrite things, but I can't write anymore. So I dictate, and that makes me a dictator. And what the world needs now is another dictator. So I just thinking of that song and I looked it up and it became my theme song from 2021 into 2022. And if you ever need a song to help soothe things like that, this is how it goes. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. And that's how I used art to cope with my frustration.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Karen, that was incredible. So my first question is why Old Town Road and why was the horse imagery so why did you connect with that so much?
Well, I didn't even know. I don't even know that I'd heard that song. Maybe I saw a Dorito commercial. And so
Sure.
I didn't know what the song was. And I say I have a stable of rollators, walkers, and they have different names. And then I had a stable of ukuleles, and I
Oh,
was a ukulele
oh,
advocate, and I got the ukulele virus, and I had a stable. So I think I had that term, and a friend of mine heard me do that piece. She goes, "Hey, ride that stallion." So that's where the horse thing just kind of fit in there. And I recently,
so
just
oh, go ahead.
yesterday, unfortunately, I had an experience at I'm gonna look for it. I went to a doctor appointment with I have
Mhm.
to read it because I a very special specialty appointment with a very special specialist. And he casually asked while he was clutching his phone, it's my first appointment with him, if it would be okay if he used a scribe. And he kind of left the door open, so I was waiting for the robot to come in or the scribe. Who's the scribe? And he said, I'm using an AI scribe. No, 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 the face of Neil. And he said, but I don't have to use it if you don't want to. And I said, well, do you find it helpful? He goes, oh, yeah. So the whole thing was recorded and now I'll get back to the walk. The whole thing is recorded and then he's dictating it. It was kind of interesting because I could hear the test. He was doing muscle testing on me and I could hear how that was.
Mhm.
And he was so attached to that phone. I know you've never seen anybody be so attached to their phone. So
Not as a millennial, no.
so he was so attached, even though it was on the table, and he was really arrogant to me. I'm going to just say that. And I left there feeling I got treated like an old lady who doesn't know anything. And as you could tell, I don't have much of a personality, so I can understand why he felt that way. But I felt very mistreated. So in preparation today for this song, I was thinking about him. Just
Yeah,
this like, so I felt, wow, it's 2024. I'm still using this song. So yeah, the horse thing I didn't know. It's the muse. I listen. When the muse tells me to do something, I do it.
absolutely. would you mind telling us a little bit about your mobility aid stable? Like, what are their names? I'm very curious.
Yeah, and you might lose faith in my creativity, but the first one I got was blue, and I had a friend named Betty. She's since passed on. She gave me her mobility cane, her cane, because she had progressed onto a walker. She would say, Karen, how come you're not using the cane? You want me to use the cane? No, I didn't need it yet. So when I got my first walker, I called it Betty Blue after Betty, and the cane and the walker was blue. Then I don't really like the color blue. You wouldn't know from my background. I got another one, and then I was like, another blue one. So I called that one Texas Blue Bonnet. And I had no idea. I would come to AnCan and it would be Hannah, the art teacher, and Alexa, the amazing everything person. They live in Texas. So I feel kind of cool about that. And then the least creative name was another. I have about 5 or 6 walkers, but the least one was kind of like a smoky color. So don't judge, but I called it Smoky.
Smokey. I mean, there's a lot of horses named Smokey.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Anyway, so that's my
That's incredible. So I want to talk a little bit more about creativity, and a little bit because you gave us a little segue talking about Hannah. You are actually one of the very first art friends that we have at AnCan, because we started the art class actually with the MS community at art. The MS community and can. We started with the MS for MS Awareness Month, I believe. And that was 3 years ago. And we wanted to show a little bit of your art and have you talk about it. But first, if you have any questions for Karen, feel free to ask them in the Q&A. We'll have some time where we can ask them for, because believe me, she would love to answer some questions. So we're going to put up an image.
But why don't you tell us, Alexa,
Uh-huh.
how did this art program even come about?
Absolutely. So everyone at AnCan is a peer. I'm a 2-time thyroid cancer survivor. I did an art program at another nonprofit for young adult cancer survivors, and then I was referred by another nonprofit for an art class, and I met Hannah. And I knew we had to get Hannah and AnCan at any cost. And there was actually a grant, and Rick told me, which is kind of what I touched on earlier in the episode. Rick told me, he said, what do you want at AnCan? Just what on earth would you want? And I said, I want an art class. And he said, okay, apply for it. And we got the grant. We got it. And so we started doing art classes. And I just had this dream that I wanted it of all of our communities, because I felt like we had so much more in common than we had differences, even though our diagnoses may be different. And it's really worked. So yeah. And you've just been
And I
incredible. We
never
love
made
seeing your art.
I never made visual art in my life. I have to, I'm gonna change rooms for a minute, because I did a lot of music. I used to do a lot of music, and I really had to change that. I had to change that. There's a ukulele on the table. I still have a stable of ukuleles. I was staring at the piano one day and I go, why am I can't play it. Why? I'm getting rid of it. I had a guitar. I got rid of it, even though I thought, well, someone else could play it. And then you could see a little, I can't show you, but you could see a little over here, a little accordion, a button box accordion. And I had another accordion, and slowly I just got rid of them because I felt like I can't do it anymore. And I didn't have a creative outlet. And the last thing I wanted to do was art, because I never did it. And I wound up using my left hand. So yeah, let's take a peek at some of the, I haven't seen them yet. She told me she made a gallery of some of my paintings that I only do digital. Everybody brings, but post it, everybody brings art supplies and water, and I'm just
And we
so
make
glad.
very clear, we want you to stay hydrated, but if we're doing paints, you need 2 separate things of water. Hannah is very honest. She's an amazing art teacher, and she's like, we've all done it. Even I have. You have your paint water, you have your drinking water. You need to stay hydrated,
I don't have
just
to
put them in
worry.
two different. There you go.
I only
Because
have
you
that.
you do it on the digital
I have a
tools.
little tablet. I know I bought it to learn how to write, and I went to the occupational therapist, and she didn't teach me that. And so I didn't even touch it. And I just love the people from the MS support group and Hannah. So I said, okay, I'm going to think there it's coming up, right? I'm going to try this class. And to my embarrassment, there are a couple of things on, oh my God, art by Karen, but that is so cute. It's so cute. And many of these are really earlier, they're or earlier pieces. Um, the one on the right, that was a Van Gogh sunflowers. That was the
Mhm.
first time I did anything that I went, wow, a 3-year-old would know. Those are flowers. And I didn't even know how to use the paint program. I had to finish it afterwards. And then on the opposite side is, I was so frustrated, the owl. And Hannah would suggest that we name our owls. I remember one, Andrea had Owen the owl, and I just heard, because I hear
Yes,
music,
Owen.
and I heard pa 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 meow meow pa pa meow meow pa 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 meow meow. So I called my owl Cool Papa Meow Meow on the corner, and yeah. So a lot of these are earlier ones. I actually have a little more sophisticated paintings these days because the program upgraded itself. It threw me for a loop, and I love coming and making the art. I never do it on my own. I don't think about it. And you see this gallery. It's like, what do you mean you don't think about it? No, I don't. And what else did we have? That Thanksgiving turkey that became the poster for on Instagram. So
Yes, yes,
Alexa,
we did.
you
And
changed,
so,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
you changed my life, right? Rick said, Karen, you'll see it's going to change your life. And it has. And I love doing the art. I love doing that.
Well, you have given us so much joy. We love seeing you every single time, and you are an essential part of our community. I wanted you to touch real quick. We do have a couple of questions. Why do you use the digital art program?
Well, because one, I bought it, and I bought it to learn how to write with my left hand. And speaking of, frustrated health visits, I saw a neurologist during the COVID, and it was a nightmare. So I just didn't even want to use it. I was so mad at it. And then the first class was, well, you have to get paint, you have to get this. So I have a right hand that's very weak and a left hand that doesn't even know how to hold anything. So I don't want paints and water and markers and watercolor pens and watercolors. And so one of the other challenges for that is I actually have to adapt. I have to adapt what I'm doing to a digital tablet, which I don't really know how to use. So it's just easier, and it's cleaner, it's neater, it's there, and there's different tools, and then they keep changing the tools, and it freaks me out, and
I know.
I'm always way behind. I didn't get done yet. So, okay, more questions. I see there's a lot of
And
questions.
we do have in the audience, they want to clarify, these were all with your left hand, your non-dominant hand,
My
right?
non-dominant hand that never made art before. So I'm tapping into my inner child. And while I'm doing it, I'm feeling like, oh my God, I'm behind. And I'm not visual, I'm auditory. So I listen to Hannah. She gives instructions. And I'm not paying attention, like, oh my God, I forgot what she said. I don't know what to do. And I would have a panic for like at least the first year. Oh my God, oh my God. And it hit me. I thought, I refuse to not love my paintings. I refuse
And
to
you
not
declared
love
it.
them. And I realized it transferred over. I refuse to not love my life. And I see all my little instruments, they went away. But there's always new things that come along.
And we have a question about that. So your ukuleles, because we talked about this, your stable of mobility aids. We have a question about, do your ukuleles and other instruments have names as well? Do you name them?
I didn't. I named the accordions. No, I haven't. I don't. But actually on the promo, I don't have that ukulele anymore because for one, they breed. So anybody who, people go, oh, you have a ukulele. It's like, no. Same with accordions. Oh, you have an accordion? No, they breed. You have more than that. But the one ukulele on that picture, it has a K for Karen. It's a really pretty one, but it wasn't that special. And people would go, well, what is that? What is that ukulele? And I said, it's really just a shitty ukulele. And they go, why would you say that about your ukulele? And the brand name on it was Kaka. It's a kaka. So the kaka name was just too funny to not do that. But no, I didn't. But my accordions, yeah, I think one was Big Red, and the one on the floor was Dusty Rose because it was dusty. So
Oh,
it has a dusty rose color, so no, so I haven't named the ukuleles, but they, because they have brands and they have different things. They come, like I have one that's Blue Frog because that's the guy who made it. So yeah.
all right. I have a really great question here, and I think you are going to offer a great perspective just because you come from a medical background, a patient background, like all of this. What advice would you give to the medical profession about why they should or could encourage creativity in the illness journey, the chronic illness journey, anything like that?
My doctor doesn't have time to see me, to give me an appointment. This guy I saw yesterday, it's like, what advice would I give them? They don't care what I have to say. So, but yeah, I know there's a lot of studies and I'm just living proof, and that isn't even an art medium that I'd want to have. I think, because I have MS, I don't remember, but just recently I read about how the arts is coming more into it. In fact, I saw on the Marsh, there was a Marsh stream. I don't know if it was Solo Arts Hill or whatever, about your brain on art. Two women who wrote a book. So I listened to that. I can't read really much anymore, but I listened to that book about 5 times, and read that book, Your Brain on Art, because they really talk about how the arts enhances your life, experiencing it this way, watching someone making it. And it's just so true. I suppose you could just drink and get drunk, or you can do something destructive, or you can just make art and enjoy it.
Absolutely. And you've created in so many different ways with the art that we've done at AnCan, with music, with singing, and with spoken word. And we talked about you emceeing events. And like I said in the beginning, it's just so much easier to list what you can't do, and it's very, very small.
Well, that made,
It's,
that made me feel good, because I certainly would not say that about myself. But since Alexa wrote that
well,
about me,
I did.
I put that in the
I
invitation.
did, yes.
I was like, okay, all right. And
Yes,
really,
that's a quote.
the message about that too is, you don't have to be really good. I mean, some of you might be really impressed. Wow, she plays the piano. Like, not really. I really didn't ever. I just play a little bit. I could play an A minor, all the white keys, or and I can visualize on a piano. The accordion, I think it suits me, but it's heavy, and I never got into that. The guitar, I was always a failure. But then I just fell in love with the ukulele, and that I actually mastered, and I learned music theory. So, but even still, when I say I mastered it, no one's asking me to join them in their band. I mean, maybe let's play some tunes at a jam, but you don't have to be the best, the biggest, the best, the most prolific. You just peace, love. What does it say? I can't see. Peace, love, and music.
Peace, love, and music. So we have a question based off of your experience yesterday. And I think also because you use technology and your artistic endeavors, do you think artificial intelligence can be of help to you in the future?
I think I'm too old to believe that. I was actually kind of horrified. I didn't care that he used it. Um, I didn't care that he used it. Like I wasn't worried, oh God, they're coming after me. But I see where the next thing is. Like I am not on the digital platform at the health plan, and they just think that's just horrible. Because I already get like sometimes I get 30 phone calls a month, even 40. I usually get at least every week 5 to 7 pieces of mail. I get emails about my appointment reminders, and then they go, why don't you pay your bill? And why don't you do this? So I could not imagine if I was on the platform how many pieces of nonsense I'd get, but I can see what's happening next. What's next is going to be you write to your doctor, just like you can now, even though your doctor doesn't have time to read it and they give it to medical assistants. So you're going to write to your doctor about something and you'll probably get a reply from AI. So I personally, no, I don't think so. But I'm glad people have such faith in my capacity to be an expert. I'm an expert complainer. I'm very good.
All right. Am I back?
You're back. Yeah, you want to
Can you,
explain
can
why
you, am I
you
back?
want to,
Okay.
yeah, you want to explain why you're a little jumpy?
The my Wi-Fi went off. I am in storm, so that would be why. We had a great question, and it is, what would you say to someone who is trying out the arts for the first time, whether visual or anything else?
Mm, I hate to borrow that slogan from this big multinational corporation, but just do it. Just do it. And just live with the discomfort. I mean, how many things in life do you do that are uncomfortable? If you're saying someone's starting out, well then I imagine you want to do something. You want to try it. I did that with a piano. I just thought I'd get a piano because I wanted to write my own songs, which seemed absurd. It just was absurd. It's like, oh, I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to be an astronaut. I think I'm going to write my own songs. And I found a teacher I didn't even know. And she would just have me. That's why I learned how to play an A minor, just the white keys. So I think whatever it is, because I suffered a lot doing performance stuff or going to a class. Yeah, I've been to so many things. I went to the community college to a singing class. And there were like 60, 70 people in the room, and everybody had to get up to the mic and sing a little version of Summertime. And I thought, I'm really scared. And sometimes I just fake it. So I think everybody was doing Summertime, and I went, sometime. You gotta just take a risk. Like, come to this singing class when your friend tells you to go with you. Just do it. Do it badly. Give yourself permission to do it badly. Anything you want to learn. If you knew how to do it, you wouldn't take a class, right? You wouldn't start out. So, is that good advice?
I think, especially because you've taught things. You've come
That's
from the
true.
perspective of being a teacher too, so you can appreciate that as a teacher. You understand making mistakes is part of the process as well, that you don't expect someone to come in as an expert.
And if you knew how to do it, well, funny enough, yesterday, because my life has changed and I use a walker and I have a wheelchair, I don't go out with the wheelchair, but to get to that appointment yesterday, I called up paratransit. I mean, I used to be horrified. Oh, that big white bus coming, but I actually really enjoy it. You know, they come, they pick me up. They took me to San Francisco. I got my own bus, and there were two people on the bus, and one was a woman, and she had a label. She was a trainer, so it was this guy's first day. So we had a good time, me and her, talking about training and how people feel insecure and, don't be afraid to ask questions. But it was really fun because she was just really sweet. And she said, oh yeah, I've had people do this. So, you're not gonna, and then I told him, I said, look, you're not gonna sleep good tonight because it was his first day. And you're just gonna not, you're gonna make mistakes. It's just how it is. and you do that. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I love there's a lot of fan mail. So many people love you, Karen, including all of us at AnCan. There's so many people in the questions who are just like, they love you so much and they appreciate you. And somebody said, you're such a role model for me because they quoted you, Karen, I refuse to not love my wife. Before we get into our next and kind of final segment, I want you to speak on that just a little bit more.
Well, I mean, many times there are days that I don't love my life.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get out of bed. I can't drive anymore. I got to go on paratransit. What kind of life is that? Um, but I also found like in solitude, because I live alone. I'm a solo arts heel, solo flyer. I've been pretty much on my own. Yeah, there's just other things to enjoy. And I think that's the thing about getting started in the arts or anything. Just follow your passion, whatever it is, I mean, how hard is it with the internet today? Just, go down that road, that old town road. Just ride till you can't no more. And yeah. But the art is
So,
what gave me that feeling. I didn't go, I got rid of my instruments. I can't do that anymore, and Rick's like, hey, why don't you come to solo arts? I don't want to do that anymore. That it's just you have to find a new normal. People learned that with the pandemic, and you just have to find another way to do things. And just like when you have those days, just go, it's okay. If I have a really big outing for 3 days, I don't get out of bed. I didn't get out
yeah.
of bed today till 1, but it's okay. It's a
Mhm.
comfortable bed.
And that's why I think peer support helps so much because those are the realities of any chronic illness or cancer or rare disease. Those are things that you can connect on. And that's why I think, those support groups are so important because I know you can feel so alone. And that's why, you talking about an old town road, you coming to one of our support groups, how helpful that was. That's why I think it's so important that we do what we do. It's actually interesting. In one of the questions, somebody wanted you to sing one more time. And I was wondering if you would sing one more time.
And do this one little piece. But I do want to say, is
Sure.
with all my bravado, I live alone. I feel abandoned. That is true.
Mhm.
So, Karen, we love you. Call me, visit me, do a video call, reach out, and with anyone that you know, because I think people are reluctant, especially when they know someone's independent. They don't, they don't think to do that. So ask people to visit
Absolutely.
you. Do that. So yeah, this is a piece. It's a little snippet of a piece. How much time do I have? It's over. It's over. We don't have time.
No, you got time.
Um, this is a piece. I was sitting and playing the piano. It was like in 2002. I was sitting out. It was hot. It's very rarely hot in Oakland now, a little bit with global warming. So I was just wrote this thing out because this woman really made me feel bad. And I read it to my friends, and he says, well, what were you singing? It's not important. And this was like maybe in 2000, 2002. So he said, put that in there. In Bainbridge Town, near the county down one morning last July, down the Boring Green came a sweet Colleen, and she, to the woman who lives in the big house on the corner, who can't stand hearing my passion spill out onto the street during the heat of an August wave because she works at home and she finds it disturbing. And this is your part. You have to join me. I know you're out there because she works at home. She finds it disturbing. Down the Boring Green came a sweet Colleen, and she. I'm a musician myself, she declaims, and I wouldn't want to discourage anyone from trying to play music. Such a winsome elf, I pinched myself for to see she was really there. There's a woman who lives in the big house on the corner, across the street, on the other side of the road. And she can't stand hearing my passion spill out onto the street during the heat of an August wave. Why is that, my friends?
She
What exactly do you find disturbing? I asked her. The piano, the singing, all of it. She snaps. And what is it you expect me to do about it? Tone it down. She gnarls with a twisted smile on her face. My God, I hurt my throat talking like her. So there's a woman who lives in that big house, and she finds it disturbing because she works out. She finds it disturbing. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the sweet Colleen who I met in the county down. Thank you, Alexa.
Karen, thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the platform. Thank you, AnCan, for changing my life. Thank you for the audience and people who come.
Thank you, Karen. It has been such a privilege to get to know you. We love you so much here at AnCan. And like I said, it was minutes. When Rick told me I could pick whoever I wanted for this month, I emailed you within probably less than 2 minutes. So I want to give a big thank you to the Marsh. I want to give a big thank you to Karen. If you have not checked out our support groups or our art classes, please check us out. Our guest next month will be another AnCanner, Dan Dressen. He's going to be playing some incredible music. Please support the Marsh, because now more than ever, we need platforms like this. We need connections, we need stories, and we need art, because the earth without art is just it. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next month. Good night.